All right. Hey, look, I'm a brand new author. Super excited for you to join me on this video because that means that you've ended chapter number one. And it's time to reflect because ultimately, every time I've read a book, I take the notes of the highlighted areas that I really responded to or connected to on a chapter. I take it and I put it on a notebook and I get a chance to read those notes. And I really do my best to try to reflect. So that's why I built this last part of a chapter called Reflect Response. So right now, I want you to think about some things and bear with me here. Have you been living in your wants instead of your needs? That's the question I had to face early in my journey in my teens and 20s, right? And going into my 30s. Wants whisper, but needs roar. So I need you to take 10 minutes right now, today, and just write. No editing, no overthinking. Be brutally honest with yourself. What's the one thing you need right now that you've been treating like a want? Sit with that because clarity is power, and this is where transformation begins. So, again, excited that this first chapter is done for you. Excited that we'll be building community with the 4A formula. We're coming out with a community shortly. And I wanted to share with you that, this 2.5 year journey for me has been really interesting. I initially wrote down a ton of ideas and thoughts and things that I thought I was going to write about. And as I went through the process, I thought about you, the reader, right? Because I tend to write like I speak. So that was challenging. And then once I gathered myself and some opportunities to work with editors and publishers, I found one that really helped me kind of get my voice from writing into a format of a book. And that was a need because I could not go to market with something that would be half par and just not up to par of the things that I feel like the Go for CEO brand is all about and what I'm trying to do in building this community and building the mindset and the resources to be able to help you. Now, in this first chapter, I talked about being 12 years old, right, and being someone that was resourceful. My parents didn't have a lot of money, so I went into the neighborhoods and started shoveling snow and cleaning this cars with this orange solution that I talked about. And I remember distinctly that it was a need that drove that desire, right? As I shared in the book in the first chapter here, that, since we didn't have a lot of money, what I was trying to think was like, how do I get freedom for myself? How do I not have to ask my mom or dad, for money to be able to go buy those Air Jordans back in the 90s, or just a nice pair of pants that we maybe couldn't afford instead of going to an old store. If any of you are old enough to remember this in the Midwest, called Zayre. It was prior to Kmart, which both are obviously out of business compared to Targets of the world and all that. So those were the things that I really looked at and why I propelled myself to get into that mode of just being driven by mindset and what can I do to fulfill the need that I had. Because if it stayed a want, I was really going to struggle because I could give myself a ton of excuses of why I couldn't do it since it was just a want. But needs are desires that we really have to work towards because it has to happen. You know, there may be something right now that after this first chapter you thought about yourself. And when you write it down in the next 10 minutes, think about something that you're really challenged, okay? It could be in your faith, could be in your family, could be in your fitness, could be in your finances, could be in just having fun. Recently, as I'm recording this video, I took my family out to Montana for a wedding that we had within our family. And it was so neat to see that I remembered at that point of being outside in nature that it's a calling of what God has created, right? It's this quiet time that we could have. And reading a book is quiet time. It's taking an opportunity to read the words that the author made and put on paper so that you could digest them and be able to reflect. So, again, this first chapter is assess. Take everything in your life, in the 5 categories that I believe are most important: faith, family, fitness, finance, and fun. And assess where you're at. Assess the needs and wants. Assess where you're starting from so that you could take a launch into the next level and be a part of this community, the 4A Formula and the Go for CEO community, so that we can learn from each other and teach each other the right habits and things that can help. It will be something that I know can help a ton of people. And it's one of the ways that you can, improve your faith, improve your family, improve your fitness, improve your finances, and improve the fun that you have in life. Because ultimately, there is some time for when you work your butt off and you work hard to also play hard. So I hope that you'll take this 10 minutes that I've asked you to do, write down the wants and needs, and think about those things that you need to assess today and figure out in those 5 categories where you're at. So looking forward to chapter 2, reflection, response.